Look, I've been playing Rockstar games since I was a kid. Trevor, Catalina, Dutch, Officer Tenpenny, dealt with all kinds of villains over the years. But Micah Bell? Man, I still can't stand that guy. Not in a wow, what a great villain way. More like, I genuinely hate him as a person. The weird thing is, that's exactly what makes him brilliant. Micah isn't really a video game villain at all. He's just some asshole you'd run into in real life. Most game villains have something that makes them interesting, right? Trevor's completely unhinged, but weirdly honest about it. Dutch has this whole philosophy thing going on. Even someone like Dimitri from GTA 4 has that smooth criminal vibe. Micah has none of that. He's petty, racist, selfish, and thinks he's way smarter than he actually is. He's basically that one guy everyone's worked with. You know the type. Kisses ass to the boss, treats everyone else like garbage, and somehow always makes himself look like the victim when things go wrong. The more I played Red Dead 2, the more I realized Rockstar wasn't trying to create some iconic villain. They were showing us what real human garbage looks like. Right from when you first meet Micah, something feels off. It's not obvious at first, Rockstar's too smart for that, but watch how he acts around different people at camp. Around Dutch, he's all smiles and, "You're so wise Dutch" bullshit. Then you see him with Arthur and he's trying to be buddy-buddy. But there's this weird competitive thing going on underneath. But watch him around people like Uncle or any of the women in camp. Complete dismissal, like they're not even worth acknowledging. I remember breaking him out of jail in Strawberry. I expected him to be grateful, maybe laid low for a bit. Instead, this maniac goes on a killing spree, shooting random people in the street and laughing about it. That's when it hit me. This isn't some badass outlaw having a good time. This dude actually gets off on hurting people. There's no code with Micah. No honor among thieves. He just wants to hurt people and take their stuff. But what really got to me was watching Micah work on Dutch. I've seen this exact thing happen in real life, and it's terrifying how accurate it is. If you've ever read The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and if you haven't, it's basically this controversial book that breaks down how manipulative people gain and keep power. Micah's using that thing like a step-by-step guide. So Micah shows up and immediately figures out who's in charge, then attaches himself to them like a parasite. He doesn't waste time with Arthur or Hosea. He goes straight for Dutch, because Dutch makes the decisions. That's straight out of Greene's book. Always get close to the person with actual power. Make yourself useful to them. Then he starts with the little comments. You're the only one who gets it. These people don't appreciate your vision. I'm the only one who really has your back. This is Law 1 from Robert Greene's book. Never outshine the master. The idea is you never try to look smarter or better than the person in charge. Instead, you make them feel like a genius while positioning yourself as their most loyal supporter. Micah never challenges Dutch directly. He just keeps telling him how brilliant he is while subtly suggesting everyone else is too dumb to see it. What's even worse is he's also using what Greene calls Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. This law is all about making people feel special and chosen. Dutch starts believing he's this misunderstood revolutionary genius, and Micah's the only one pure enough to truly understand the vision. It's Cult Leader 101. The genius move Micah pulls is he never directly attacks Arthur or Hosea. That would trigger Dutch's defenses. Instead, he plants seeds. I just worry they're not as committed as they used to be. Maybe they're getting too comfortable, losing that outlaw edge. This is pure Law 33 from Greene's book. Discover each man's thumbscrew. He figured out that Dutch's biggest fear is being abandoned or betrayed by people he trusts. What's terrifying is how well it works. Dutch starts trusting Micah more and more, while Arthur, who's been loyal for 15 years, gets pushed aside. I've watched this happen in offices, friend groups, families. One toxic person shows up and suddenly everyone's at each other's throats. Dutch is smart, charismatic, a natural leader. But he's also got this massive ego and this deep need to be seen as special. Micah spotted those weaknesses immediately and exploited them perfectly. Every conversation is Micah feeding that ego while slowly isolating Dutch from everyone who actually gives a damn about him. There's this mission called Blessed Are the Peacemakers that perfectly shows how Micah operates. Dutch wants to meet with Colum O'Driscoll for some peace talk. Obviously a terrible idea. Micah says it might be a trap. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong. Because then he talks Dutch into going anyway. He gets to cover his ass by saying, "I warned you," while still pushing for the thing he warned against. Arthur gets sent to watch from a hill and ends up getting captured and tortured for days. Meanwhile, Micah and Dutch just ride home. They don't even ask where Arthur is. Dude's been missing for days and they're acting like nothing happened. I've known people who do this exact thing. They point out problems just so they can say, "I told you so," later. But they secretly want the problems to happen because it benefits them somehow. Arthur being out of the way was exactly what Micah needed. When Arthur finally makes it back to camp, beaten half to death, does Micah show any concern? Nope. He's annoyed that Arthur survived because now he has to go back to competing for Dutch's attention. The thing about Micah is his motivations are so ordinary. Trevor wants chaos for chaos's sake. Dutch thinks he's starting a revolution. Micah just wants to be the guy in charge, and he doesn't care who gets hurt making that happen. He's racist, but not in some over-the-top cartoon way. He's casually racist, makes little comments, treats certain people differently. It's the everyday racism you actually encounter, not some dramatic speech about racial superiority. Same with how he treats women. He doesn't give some villain monologue about hating women. He just dismisses them, talks over them, acts like their opinions don't count. It's boring, everyday misogyny that's way more uncomfortable because it's so familiar. And he genuinely thinks he's the good guy. When people don't like him, it's because they're jealous. When his actions cause problems, it's everyone else's fault for not understanding. I've met so many people like this, it's honestly depressing. One thing that really impressed me about how Rockstar wrote Micah is showing how one person can destroy an entire group. Early in the game, the gang feels like a family. People joke around, look out for each other, genuinely care. As Micah gains influence, all that changes. People start keeping secrets. Trust breaks down. Everyone gets paranoid. The whole group splits into factions. This is exactly what toxic people do. They show up, and everything starts falling apart. They pit people against each other while pretending they're innocent. Micah's like a virus. He doesn't destroy things directly. He just makes everything around him sick until it destroys itself. Micah's also a master at gaslighting. Anytime someone calls him out, he flips it around. I'm just trying to help the gang. You're being paranoid. Why don't you trust me? Arthur's just jealous because Dutch listens to me now. It's textbook stuff. Make the other person question their own judgment. I've watched people do this to friends and family members. They mess with your head until you start doubting what you saw with your own eyes. The worst part is when he acts hurt by people's suspicion. Like he's this loyal gang member who's just misunderstood. Meanwhile, he's literally planning to sell everyone out to the Pinkertons the whole time. Even how Rockstar designed Micah feels intentionally realistic rather than cinematic. Peter Blomquist's voice work is perfect. Micah doesn't sound like a villain. He sounds like that guy from your hometown who peaked in high school and never got over it. His appearance too. He's not intimidating or charismatic. He just looks sleazy, like someone you'd cross the street to avoid. Compare that to other Rockstar villains who at least have some kind of presence. Micah's just unpleasant to look at. There's nothing cool about him. He doesn't have any memorable quotes, any style, any flair whatsoever. He's just this greasy little weasel who somehow convinced everyone he mattered. What really bothers me about Micah and why I think he's such brilliant character writing. I know this guy. We all know this guy. Maybe not exactly, but the type. The coworker who takes credit for your ideas, the friend who slowly turns the group against each other, the relative who always starts drama at family gatherings, then acts innocent when people get upset. Rockstar didn't invent some new kind of villain. They just observed how certain people behave in real life and put that in a cowboy hat. That's why he's so effective and so infuriating at the same time. Understanding, Micah isn't just about appreciating good game writing. It's about recognizing these patterns when you see them in real life. The red flags are all there. Sucks up to authority while treating others badly, creates problems, then offers to solve them. Never takes responsibility. Always has someone else to blame. Micah's playbook is the same one toxic people use everywhere. Playing Red Dead 2 was like watching a masterclass in manipulation tactics. Every conversation Micah has is him working some angle, pushing some agenda, trying to get something from someone. Years later, I keep thinking about Micah Bell. Not because he's some iconic villain, but because he represents something that actually exists in the world. He's not safely contained in a video game. He's that person you might have to deal with at work tomorrow. Most game villains are power fantasies in reverse. Their threats we'll never actually face. Micah feels like a warning about the kind of person who can walk into your life and slowly poison everything good about it. Rockstar created something genuinely uncomfortable with Micah. They showed us that you don't need superpowers or grand schemes to cause serious damage. Sometimes the most dangerous people are just selfish assholes who figured out how to manipulate others. And that's what makes Micah Bell the most realistic villain Rockstar's ever created. He's not entertaining or charismatic or even particularly smart. He's just authentically awful in ways that feel completely human. And maybe that's more frightening than any supernatural threat could ever be. Micah Bell isn't a monster from some fantasy world. He's a reminder of the worst parts of people we actually have to deal with. At least with Trevor or Dutch, you can appreciate the craft that went into creating them. With Micah, I just want him to go away. And I think that was exactly the point. If you hate Micah as much as I do, hit that subscribe button. Because we're definitely going to be talking about more characters that make your skin crawl. Have you dealt with someone like Micah in real life? Let me know in the comments, and if this changed how you think about the character, hit that like button.